Welcome to Real People, Real Matters. This is Diana Tulchinsky with my first guest, Jack Downing. Jack, please tell me how you got into wrestling.
So I got into wrestling at Glenbrook South, actually. I was wrapping up my freshman year of football, and the coaches were like, "You're wrestling."
Oh, wow.
I said, "Okay, I guess I'll wrestle." And
Did
so
you-
kind of just got recruited.
Oh, nice. Did you have a background in sports in high school or?
I came up not playing a lot. I was always playing with my friends. I played if I could get together and play floor hockey, if I could get together and just play horse or pig or any one of those basketball games. I was always trying to do something like that. My mom was a sports fanatic. My dad was not, so it was kind of like she supported whatever I did, but I didn't really find sports until maybe 8th grade.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What kind of sports did you play in high school?
I played football and I wrestled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
For what high school did you wrestle in?
Glenbrook South High School here in Glenview. Yeah.
How did you like high school in Glenbrook South?
Oh, high school was great. When I played, as Tim mentioned, I played all those sports, and then when I got actually into some organized sports, I really fell in love with it, and had some great coaches. Loved football, loved wrestling. It was just a great experience.
Nice. Where did you go for undergraduate studies?
I played football at Butler University, but I finished up my undergrad at Loras College.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And just tell me, how did sports help you? Like, did you get a scholarship for the universities you went to?
I got help, so that was nice. But if you mean like how did it help me, I think it helped me from a standpoint of really learning discipline and hard work and what it took to kind of get through college, because playing a sport in college is not easy.
Oh, great. How do you multitask with your studies and sports? Did you feel like it helped with confidence and self-esteem building?
Oh, absolutely. I think well, first of all, if you play football in college, you get there early. So I got to know all the guys in the team, which was great. But also, it just kind of gave you a little bit of being on a team gave you a bit of self-awareness or maybe self-confidence, and then having to do all the things you needed to do to be able to manage sports and education also gave you self-confidence for sure.
Oh, great. And for diets, for example, like how do you make sure the kids are clean? They don't use any mowing or testosterone building substances. How do you make that important in their life?
Well, we talk about, especially in wrestling, we talk about managing a very healthy diet in terms of you have those ketos, you have Atkins, you have all these other things that they could take, and we find that at this age, first of all, you need a healthy diet. You need all the different food groups to be able to help yourself recoup, because wrestling is a very physically demanding sport. But also, you're growing, and at this age, you have enough testosterone.
Oh, yes.
You don't need extra. So we have a heavy emphasis on just healthy, clean eating, no drugs, no enhancements, all that kind of stuff. So.
And for ninth graders, like incoming freshmen, what do you look for in the potential wrestling students? Do they have to run a certain time or lift, or what's the minimum standard?
Great question. We get that a lot too. So for wrestlers, we find, I ask if can you do these 3 things for me? Can you work hard? Because this is the physicality of wrestling is grueling. You have to be strong. You have to have a lot of stamina. Are you willing to learn? Meaning, are you willing to make mistakes? Right? Because this is anybody that comes into wrestling that doesn't know it has got to be willing to do what it takes to learn the move and fail at it, and then fail at it again, and then fail at it again.
Yes.
And then are you willing to show up every day? If you can do those 3 things, guess what? You're going to have a positive experience.
Oh, nice. What is the minimum GPA freshmen will need to get into sports?
You have to maintain a 2.0.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then do you ever coach students saying studies are also important?
We talk about the student athlete, and we talk about student coming before athlete.
Oh, good.
You
Yeah.
know, we tell them that your number one priority, at least as it relates to us as your coaches or your educators, is your grades. You know, wrestling's small window,
Yes.
very small window. So we got to get you grades set first, and then we'll work on the athlete second.
Yes.
Student
Yes.
first, athlete second.
And do you know any of your students that graduate with a scholarship or some kind of grants?
So wrestling's a funny sport from the standpoint where there's not like full rides like you can get in football. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but most of the time it's partial. But we have not had anybody, because it's just not there's not many colleges with wrestling programs as
No?
there is with basketball or
Oh,
football or, some of those other ones. So there's just not as much opportunity.
And tell me, where do students mostly go in the Midwest, like Northern Illinois or like other places?
We do have a student that wrestled for us last year. Actually, I was his guardian, and he's now wrestling at Northern Illinois, which is a Division I school.
Nice. And then like also, how hard is it to keep up with a diet like postgraduate? Like I know a lot of people get injured and then like they just become very heavy, or like how do you keep up with a diet after your graduation?
Good question. I haven't been asked that one before. It's a natural tendency that if you've been maintaining a certain weight and trying to be at your optimum, because we really want our kids not cutting weight, but at their optimum weight. So meaning you're dealing with very little body fat.
Wow.
You're at maximum performance. It's easy to
Yes.
go have a hot dog and the ice cream
yes.
all
Dairy
those.
Queen, yeah.
Absolutely, dairy bar. Right, yep, absolutely. It's easy to do that. I haven't really had counseled anybody since then. Some people handle it well.
Yeah.
Some people don't.
What is the typical body mass index? Like,
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact number. I know that we have trainers on staff that actually do the body fat, and they do a hydration test, and they say, here's the most you can in a healthy way wrestle at. This is the least you can weigh.
and like what's the problem with keto and like the paleo diet? Like, have you ever seen kids like yo-yo back and forth?
It's funny. We had that a little bit of that this year because we had with COVID, we had started our wrestling season and then we had a pause for about 20 days. So as I mentioned, kids don't have to cut weight; they start going.
Oh, yes.
So it wasn't so much the keto or the Atkins or I can't remember. It was more that they went back to their old habits, which is why we always say, eat a healthy, well-balanced diet that is, we try to stay sugar-free. Stay away from the
Yes,
sugar,
yes.
stay away from the can. You can have that after the season's over. Just try to eat that healthy diet. So, I know that the keto, I think it's a low carb,
Yes.
and when you're wrestling, you need carbs
Oh, okay.
because that's what fuels you. So,
But like the keto, I think is just high in fat. And then like sometimes like when you get into your 40s, that's a problem because there's no carb and just all fat. And when you stop doing that, the weight comes back.
that's
Yeah.
true, right? Yeah, and I think if I understand it, it's about a 20-day period before they
Oh,
start.
okay.
Yeah, and
Keto.
we need them to eat healthy and burn the calories right now. So
And where did you go for graduate school?
I went to Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern.
Oh, nice. And why did you want to stay in the area, the North Shore area?
I wanted to stay. It was it's local, right? And I lived here, and I had 3 young kids when I was going to grad school, so that was part of the reason. But selfishly, I thought, boy, this would be a wonderful chance for me to network and grow my business. And what I found out is that's not what I got with the education. I grew my business because they gave me a great education. They tricked me.
Oh, yes, yes, going back to school. So what type of company do you work for?
I founded a firm 25 years ago, Worldbridge Partners. We're an executive search firm. We have 17 offices in the U.S., 1 in Latin America, and it's we do executive search.
Oh, nice. And tell me what countries or how do you get into the executive path? Like you look for top executives or?
Good question. No, we're more of a, you have, there's two types of search firms that help companies hire permanent employees, not contract, but permanent. Some are ones that are do nothing but the chief executive or the chief financial officer. We don't really do that. We kind of play a level below that where we help them. I say those guys build the heads of business. We build the heart of business. We build the people that are individually contributing or managing a small group of team, kind of implementing strategy, but not necessarily coming up with vision.
Oh, nice. And how many people do you recruit during the year?
I think last year we, as a group, did about 1,000
Oh, wow.
hires.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you look for financial advisors, CPAs, and MBAs?
We're about 14 different industries, of which that a functional area of accounting and finance we do. We do IT, we do financial advisors, we do salespeople, marketing people, in numerous different industries.
Nice. Can I ask you, do you think about the recession now or what? Yeah.
Sure. It's interesting because inflation is up, and I think I heard it today. It was highest it's been since 1981.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of scary. And anytime you have an inflation, the only way it stops inflation is through a recession. And when you have a recession, that typically means less hiring, which is not good for us.
Do you find that like America is better in recruiting versus the Latin Americans? I mean, I'm not sure what their economy is now.
I think our area is more accustomed to it. In Latin America, you find it's very mi familia, which is like, it's my family. It's where there seems to be a little bit more loyalty. So it's harder to talk to people about their individual career and where they want to go and what they're trying to do. And I think there's more longevity of companies. The companies don't turn over as much as they do over here. Like, our companies are constantly bought, sold, created, closed. And there's a transient nature with, I think, more in the United States as it relates to career as well as companies. So, I mean, the days of 30 years of service and receiving a gold watch have gone. Whereas I think it's that's more familiar in the Latin culture.
Nice. And then I was just interested, when did you start being a GBS wrestling coach? Like, what made you volunteer?
Good question. So, when I grew up, I learned a ton about life through sports, and wrestling has an opportunity to teach you, and so is football. And I assist in football too, but there's a great opportunity to teach kids life lessons that they'll use well beyond their sports, and that's what the coaches at Glenview South taught me.
Oh, nice.
And I used it to grow my business, and I use it to help raise my family, and I kind of live my life. It's a lot of the lessons my mom and dad taught me, but it was reinforced by those coaches. So, long way around to answer to your question is I wanted to get back and give back.
Oh, nice. Do you have any successful stories about the kids, like, some that was very like shy, all of a sudden became like a great superstar in the senior level?
Yeah, so there's a kid named Devon J. Hudson, who I said I mentioned I'm his guardian. He came into Glenview South as a sophomore, never had wrestled before, didn't know anybody.
Oh, wow.
And was excited just to be on the team, and he did those three things that we asked for, and he worked so hard. By his senior year, he ended up winning 37 matches.
Wow. Qualified
for state, and was offered a spot on Northern Illinois' wrestling team, which is a Division I school. And he, it's a kid that hadn't wrestled, has only been wrestling 3 years. I mean, that's pretty. Not a lot of people that are probably watching understand how long it takes to get into wrestling and to qualify for state. Typically, the guys that qualify for state or go to Division I have been wrestling since like 5th grade.
Ah, yes.
So this is a sport that takes an immense amount of time on the mat. We call it mat time, just kind of getting out there and going and learning. And he just overcame all odds and worked his tail off.
Oh, great. It's
Yeah.
great. I'm really happy. What type of motivating speeches do you say to kids, like even when they lose?
So, I tell a lot of the kids that, you don't understand what you're doing. You are so brave. You're doing something that most won't, can't, or just don't. They go out there, you go out and you wrestle somebody. It's you alone. You either win or you lose, and you do it in front of your family and friends, and strangers.
Yes.
And that takes guts. You have more courage than you ever could know. By you stepping on that mat, that alone, you're a winner.
How do you know if a kid practiced enough for the weights and then.
Yeah. So off season, we can tell because they show up back in the room, and they're either stronger and in wrestling shape, or they're not.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty easy to tell. But we do have we do want them lifting because we want you stronger than your opponent. We want you in better shape than your opponent.
And what is a typical practice like an hour for sports, aerobic and non-aerobic, and then you have to lift like how many pounds?
Sure. So off season, there's a full weights program that we do, and it's geared towards what you weigh in terms of how much you should be lifting and how much you shouldn't be, because we don't want the lower weights trying to push too much weight and get hurt.
Okay.
And then we have off-season tournaments. We have open mats. Where we encourage the kids to get what we call their wrestling lungs, because you could run, and we do that. We do conditioning, but that's not the same as wrestling. Wrestling is exhausting. So we say get in your wrestling lungs. And the only way to do that is to get on the mat. So that's the off-season. The in-season, our practice is typically we spend about an hour on skills, we warm up, and then we spend about an hour, and during that time, then we spend an hour on a different drilling and skills and trying to learn different moves. And then we spend the last half of practice doing live wrestling, trying to get your lungs.
Tell me, how is the divisions rated for the wrestling and the Division I, Division II?
Yep. So in high school, you have 3 divisions. You have you have 1, 2, and 3. Glenview, South, and 3, and that's typically the largest schools. So, Evanston, New Trier, us.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And tell me, why do you love the North Shore Glenview area?
It's a great. It's kind of like I look at it's a family atmosphere. It's a small town atmosphere within one of the biggest suburbs of Chicago, right? I mean, everybody. There's so many people that have grown up here that have come back to raise their family here.
Yes.
The head coach of the football team, Dave Shanewetter, I actually played for his dad, Bob.
Oh, wow.
And he came back, right? I mean, there's just so many of these people that come back and want to be a part of it.
And tell me how you like actually the high school. I understand you're a proud parent, but how do you like the high school compared to New Trier, private schools?
I like it. It's a very inclusive place with a lot of diversity, which I think is different than you get at some of the other high schools around the area, at least from a diversity standpoint. So I like that my kids get to know people like Devonjay.
Oh, great.
And I have 3 kids in the team, and they get exposure to all that type of stuff. It's great, and our team is actually very diverse.
Oh, nice. And how is your son doing? I understand he's a wrestler too.
Yep. So my oldest son, Jack, just is graduating, had a great career. He's wrestled, started on varsity all 4 years, was a 2-time sectional qualifier, had some of the most points on the team, and in terms of team points, he had a great season.
What are the requirements to go All-American or varsity?
To make varsity, I love the sport. It's a meritocracy. You just have to win your weight.
Oh, okay.
So he was able to win his weight as a freshman, and so he wrestled all 4 years. Then my other son, Patrick, also a 2-time sectional qualifier, 1-time state qualifier, has wrestled all 3 years, and he's going into his senior year. So we're pretty excited about what maybe he could do next year. And then I have another son, Henry, who just had a fantastic freshman year. Who's
Nice.
yeah. So if I mentioned Jack and not the other three, I would have been in trouble. So I had to get them in.
Oh, nice. And do you have any tips for parents that really want that scholarship? Things to do or things not to do, like too much pressure?
Yeah. So wrestling's it's mentally and physically draining, but it's mentally draining. I mean, the anxiety before a match, the anxiety after a match, all that stuff can drain the kids. So my tips to parents would be trust the process. Pat Castillo is an unbelievable coach. He'll get the most out of them that he can. And get them involved as much as they want in the off season by getting them in to tournaments, getting them away to camps, because that's where they'll grow. The biggest growth our wrestlers have is in the ones that do the stuff in the off season versus the ones that don't.
Oh yes, I was like get yelled at, like if you do your assignments last minute, then they kind of flake off, and sometimes they exercise. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
Yeah. Always be consistent.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's one of those things that if you're not doing, you're regressing a bit.
Do you have any plans to expand your company?
I do. Yeah, we're looking to grow. We're actually in talks with another company about us acquiring them. But we're also hiring for sure.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And then, can you tell me, do you have any plans to travel with your kids or like go around different countries? I know Eastern Europe is having problems with going to the West.
Yeah, so we're actually doing a European vacation, first time in a
Nice.
long time. All 7 of us are going to Italy and then Greece, and then we're going to also see, Croatia's Eastern Europe, but I think it's far enough west of Eastern Europe.
Oh, nice. And then, do you see any can you be a regular coach, or do you like just like a volunteer coach?
I like the volunteer part of it. First of all, because I run a business, so I can't. Sometimes I just say I can't be there, so I'd feel bad if I was getting some sort of a pay. So, but I'm there 90% of the time. It's just I need that flexibility for that 10 or 20% I can't be there. So I'll probably be a volunteer the rest of the way.
And were your parents growing up in the Glenview area too? Wow.
Yeah, grew up. I'm a townie.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, what did the families get out of wrestling?
That's a good question. I find that families don't realize that wrestling and the coaches are very specific about it. We look at this, we have an opportunity to teach and reinforce life lessons that the parents are teaching their kids. Life lessons like teamwork, like hard work, perseverance, goal setting, all these things that the kids are going to use well beyond wrestling, right? They're going to, there's such a small window in high school for sports, right? And you get one, they say it's, use the Eminem song, the one shot, right? But it's not, in life, you get many shots. And the things you're going to learn and that will reinforce, and Coach Castillo is great at this, is those life lessons that they will go on after high school and utilize in college. And then after college, they'll utilize them in their whatever career they choose. I know I did. And that stuff that they will continue to and armor them throughout their life, and hopefully they'll teach their kids. It's a great sport to teach those things.
Do you have any tips for people that are interested in health sciences and sports in the bachelor's or graduate level? Like, what would you tell the parents?
I would say that those are great avenues, especially I know because of what I do. I mean, one of the biggest needs right now is male physical education teachers. I know that nutrition from the genomics, and we do a ton of work in pharma and biotechnology, and one of the hardest things to find is data scientists or nutritionists that can take the data and do it.
Oh, yes.
I think it's a great avenue to pursue in college for sure.
Thank you, Jack, for this interesting conversation about wrestling.
No, thank you very much. Really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you taking time for Glenbrook South Wrestling Program.
Oh, great. Thank you for watching Real People, Real Matters. This is Diana Tulchinsky with Jack Downing. And please watch us again.